Today, we're gonna talk about greenfield and brownfield in supply chain design. The background of the business problem is that a retailer wants to understand where to open new DC. So firstly, you want to run a greenfield to understand where DC should be located without considering your current DC location. Secondly, you may also want to consider if we keep the current DC, then add a new one, then where the new one is. And that's called brownfield. Thirdly is that we have a service requirement to meet. Then how many DC and where should they be? For such a model, the input would include customer demand, sites including your DCs and customers, settings like how many DCs you want, and also what kind of service constraints you want for your greenfield. Once we have the input, we're gonna run a few scenarios, like greenfield 3 DCs or 4 DCs, then a brownfield, to add one more DC on top of that for DCs. The last one is that, how many DCs we need to meet the service level requirement. So that is the model we're gonna present today. Let's jump to the software. Right now, we are at the Sophus Features user interface. As you can see, no matter the types of models you're trying to build or solve, all under the same data schema and interface. Today is about greenfield and brownfield. As you can see, here is an empty model with no data in it. So we are going to our ETL tool to pull in data. The ETL will connect the data from its source, then load into your model automatically. Now let's run this data flow to update the model. Okay, it's done. Now you see all data have updated to the model. Products, sites table, customer demand. Now, let's go to the scenario section. I had some preset scenarios. Greenfield scenarios of 4 DC and 5 DC. Remember that we want to select 3 DC and 4 DC instead, so let's make some changes here. We go to the scenario item section and revise. You can select a data table that you need to update. Here I am selecting options table. And I change the number of greenfield from 4 to 3. And let's do the same here. Change the greenfield DC number from 5 to 4. Okay, now it is ready to run these models. As you can see, the model run is really fast. It takes only seconds to get a result. Let's check out the output. As you can see, here is the map output. I already have the map set up, but you can edit the map as you want. Now you can see the 3 DC greenfield result and allocation from DC to customers. Then now we see for DC greenfield result. Now if we want to do a brownfield, keep these 4 and see where the new 1 DC should be. How do we do it? Firstly, let's go to the output table here. We can use the selected for DC as base and export these for locations back to my site table. Basically, what happens here is that I will have these for DCs added as existing facility. Now I would do a 5 DC scenario, which include those existing for DCs. Create a scenario item called Greenfield 4+1. In the scenario item, I just need to change the setting from 4 to 5. I take this new scenario item and create a new scenario. Done. Now I can run this 5 DC scenario. Let's see how the output would look like. You will see that one more DC has been added at the north of Texas. Now, let's move to the next one, run a greenfield based on service requirement. As you can see, a table here is called Greenfield Service Requirement. This data line is basically telling us that 95% of my demand need to be covered within 600 kilometers. I have created a scenario that would activate this line of constraint. Now let's run this model and see what the output would look like. Again, it solves very quickly. Now let's check out the output. Firstly, as you can see from the map, we now need 8 DCs in order to meet the service requirement. All the details can be found in this output table here. And as an user, you can also use our customized BI to create dashboard. For example, let's create a chart showing the throughput level of these new Greenfield DCs. And here we go. You can save this one and create more to come up with this dashboard. Thank you for the attention, and more chapters to come.